Hello, today we're going to be talking about third-party sites. This is not in-depth or comprehensive or even what I think beginners should be using. It's mostly just what I use and why I use it, and a little dip into the pool of third-party sites. There's a lot more going on than what you're going to see today, but I do just want to walk through some of it with y'all today. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, what are third-party sites? Third-party sites are sites related to Torn that are not part of the official Torn website. Um, in some cases, there's some of the volunteer staff that is hosting the websites, but for the most part, it's other players that are hosting. Um, they generally consolidate data from Torn using the Torn API, and many of them are going to require your API key at various levels. So we'll get into that at some point as well. They generally have useful tools, or they're designed for specific benefits. There's certain things that are useful. Most of the things we'll be looking at today will be very high level stuff, things for like organization, planning, leadership, those sorts of things. But there's lots of trading, lots of flight planners, things like that out there. Just any website that provides those sorts of things. As I said, they do require an API key from the player for the most part, so I am actually going to walk you through what that looks like right now. An API key is access to certain data for your Torn character. It's very limited what can be provided, but there are different scales to it. So in order to get to your API keys, you click on your profile at the top right, you go to settings, and there's API keys right here. Now, generally, if we scroll down, we would see the ones I actually use, but here are some fake ones, and I'll be deleting these before this video is published. You want to keep your API keys private because these do give access to certain things. If we click Create New Key here, we can put a name in for one. So we can name this one Example. And we can see what level of permissions the key could have to it. It's very important to understand what these do and what's happening with them. Limited access is basically going to have all the information about the current state of your account, how much money you have on hand, any events that have come in, anything like that, they'll know. All your cooldowns, all your stats, everything like that. Minimal access is going to provide very basic information, but public only is things that are accessible to anyone on Torn. Like you wouldn't even have to be logged into Torn to see it, and it just is verification that someone legitimate is pulling the information rather than like some malicious actors are pulling the information. So public keys are relatively safe. They can verify that who the account that key belongs to, and that's the only information other than what's publicly available on Torn. So if that's the most basic, minimal access is very basic. It's going to have stuff that other players could see about you. Limited access is going to have all your account information as stated. Full access has access to all of your Torn logs. So the entire history, when you click on your history, they can pull all the information from that with that key. Now, third-party sites and scripts do need this to provide the information you want them to provide, so it's important to use discretion on who you're sharing these keys with, but don't be terrified to share them when it's appropriate. It is always an inherent risk, though, so I would urge caution for the most part. That said, that is how you create your keys. You just click Add here. Now we have a key and we can use it for whatever we want. Just click on it to copy it. We can see if it's been used. We can freeze it so that if we see suspicious things or we don't want it to be used at the moment, we can pause it. And we can, of course, delete it as well. So that's the rundown of API keys and how they work. We'll talk about that more in greater detail in another video. This video is going to have a companion video, which will be me talking about certain scripts. Almost every script is going to need an API key to function, so maybe we'll talk about that in more detail there, but there's the gist of it. So now that we know what we need, what third-party sites are, and how to share information with them, let's look at some of the third-party sites that I find that I go to most often. Number one has to be Torn Stats. I think even if you've never been to a Torn third-party site, you have probably heard someone you know talk about this website. It's extremely popular. It's one of the most reliable sites. It's always running. It's very useful for faction leadership. It helps you track member stats, including like drug cooldowns, what their energy's at, as well as their combat stats. It helps you know how active your players are and who needs help. It also has a very, very useful spy database where players, factions, and faction families can all deposit spies into one database. And then you can use Torn Stats to share that information with other scripts and things. So like if I go to my faction right now, I have a script called Battle Stats Predictor, and we are in a ranked war with Monarch Leviathan. If I click on them, I can scroll down and I have an estimation of what their stats are thanks to Battle Stats Predictor pulling in information from Torn Stats. If we do a stat swap with them, we'll see these kind of purple things or gold ones that verifies that that's coming from a different data source. So I do use Battle Stats Predictor over Fair Fight Scouter just out of habit, really. You're going to hear, especially as a new player, people talking about Fair Fight Scouter. My vibe has always been Battle Stats Predictor, though, but they're both useful. But I like this idea with the stars and being able to see where this information is coming from, having an estimation of everybody's stats, or if there's a spy, the spy provided, just like that, and the stars indicating where that source is coming from. Those cups right there means he's in a Hall of Fame for his battle stats, so the battle stats are very well known or predicted. So that ended up being more about Battle Stats Predictor, but keep in mind all that's coming from, or not all of that, but the stat trading and stat spies are from Torn Stats. And that repository is available to anyone that has permission for it from their faction. It's by default shared with all the players in the faction for Torn Stats, so unless your leadership turned it off, you should have access to these spy databases for your faction as well. I did mention the Battle Stats Predictor. It's because Torn Stats has its own API system as well, where you can get an API key for Torn Stats within the settings in Torn Stats right here. So you just click your name and then you go to settings and you will see where the API key is for Torn Stats there. You put that into Battle Stats Predictor or other scripts and it will feed information between one another. Torn Tools as well needs your Torn Stats. That feels pretty obvious, but again, we'll talk about all that during a scripts video. The next thing is stat swapping between factions. So we can see here that they accepted an exchange of member stats. So we have received spies for 98 of their members, and they have received spies for 96 of our members. All that data that's compiled can be traded, and that goes into those spy databases, and we can also get a breakdown of what that war looks like. So here is the current rosters for the two factions in this ranked war, and we can see where each player ends up on stats because they traded their spies with one another. And Torn Stats is going to save this information so we have it. We can use scripts to know who to hit, and it's very helpful to kind of get an idea of what's going on. where everyone is. We can see the median stats for each, which is usually the key to knowing what's going on. But that's that. That's Torn Stats. It's extremely useful. As a player, there's a bunch of resources that are going to be beneficial to you. They have connection to the Loot Rangers Discord and share that data for the loot information. They have a ton of references, things that can be very, very useful to new players. Prox Equality is a really good simulator to be using a lot of the time. The organized crimes information is good. I haven't really used the merit simulator. I use another site for that, but I do know people that use that. But there's a lot of information in here that is very useful. So that's probably the number one site. There's plenty of stuff I didn't talk about in there. It's worth poking around and seeing it and checking it out. The next site is Torn.report. You will often see me either quoting or screenshotting or referring to this website whenever I am providing information to you guys in the guides, especially the beginner guides. I'll usually have like the nerve or one of these records up. What Torn.report is it takes your full access API key, it uploads all the information into specific topics so you can get information on them. For the opening wallets video, we went into the supply packs and we were able to pull our data for just our wallets and see them. And this website is great for that. It helps you keep track of what your performance is like and where your money is coming from and things like that. Especially the crime thing and crime uniques. If you're working on merits or trying to make the most of your crimes, really useful for that. The mugging is useful as well if you're a mugger. I'm very incompetent for mugging, so I don't use it too much. But there's plenty of things here that are very useful, especially the holiday events. I use all of these very often. If you're trying to keep track of your performance, where your money's going, and as well as your energy as well, just kind of keeping better track of your stuff, then you'll want to use Torn.report. It's one of the better sites I've used. Next is Yata. This one's going to be more for faction leadership and organization, but it does have some resources for faction players as well. It's very faction oriented though. So if we look at it, I don't have my API key at the moment. You can go to faction here once you enter your API key and log in, and I think it just needs a limited access key. Once you go into the faction, you can have attack reports made so that, like, if you're in a faction that wants to do a ranked war and then pay for every war hit, you can create attack reports on this, export them as a CSV document, and then run a payout report from that. And if you know what I'm talking about, you can see how useful that is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just know that this is an excellent resource for your leadership. It also has options to open up attack pages and then dibs opponents. And what that will allow you to do is you'll have a list of all your targets for the ranked war, and you can click and dibs them so that everyone else can see that you intend to attack them when they come out of the hospital. And that's a way to kind of keep track of hits, who's hitting for organization reasons, all that. There's an enhanced chain feed as well, and they have loot targets with Loot Ranger integration, just like Torn Stats does. It looks a little cleaner in my opinion. It's right here. You don't even need an API key for it. You can track what group attacks are going and vote on ones that people are trying to get started. Generally, I find this kind of to be a little superfluous because Loot Rangers handles all this excellently, and it looks like the site's down right now. That is the one problem with Yata, is it's very in demand for leadership and high-level factions, so it does kind of go down from time to time, and that can be a little frustrating, but the reason is because it's useful. The final thing it has on it is a awards tracker or merit tracker. And this is the big thing that I like to use Yata for, that I think all players can benefit. It will actually tell you how much time it takes to get certain merits based on your performance. So, like assists and 250 attacks, well, you can do that in 9 days just off of your natural energy. If you want to plan things out a little more, you can do it in less than a week. And it gives you that information right here. If you put in a limited API key, it will be able to find out how much progress you have on these merits already, and then update this information to let you know exactly what you need to do. It's extremely useful in my opinion. It's my favorite merit tracker and the one that I use. But that's Yata. It's another great site. These I think are the big three that everyone uses. These next two are a little more niche. Well, maybe not so niche for this bottom one, but for older players, these are not used as often. So we're gonna go ahead and look at them with March's Cafe, aka Torn Clairvoyant. It only does a few things, but what it does very well. The one thing I think will be useful for most players is the cracking crimes. It does have a password finder, and you just do that search top 100K and it'll come up with likely answers. You put the link in here, then any characters you do know, and then it'll let you know what kind of things it could be, and then you can try plugging it in and saving yourself some nerve in the cracking crime. Cracking is kind of a middle tier crime though, so this isn't going to help very new players, but this resource is here when you need it. The big thing for me though is the prices. You can go to auction, and it keeps track of every single auction purchase and sale, who bought it, who sold it, how much it was worth, and what it was. And you can use this with filters to kind of price check things. And there are scripts that will price check, but I trust this site a little more than the script, and it's not because of the script maker or anything. It's because I never know when information is being limited. While this site seems to be extremely reliable, every time I've checked it, it's been verified to be correct. So I find this just to be reliable, and I like using it. It's also easier to like screenshot and share with people. You just hide the side like that, and then you can just kind of shrink things that are not pertinent to what they want if you're discussing items with people. So let's say I'm looking for a new revitalized weapon. I can go to bonus 1 here. I can clear everything out and then just do revitalize. And now I have a history of all the revitalized weapons, what the value was, and how much they sold for. With that, I can kind of price check other items in the auction house and inform myself of what to bid for them, as well as kind of keep an eye on if certain abilities or weapons are getting more or less popular. It's a really good resource. I like it quite a bit. The last thing on this site I like to use is the map. There's no particular reason to, I just kind of enjoy looking at it. It shows you the large alliances and their influence over the city map. You can see where everyone is, and they have these cool, is it these right here? They have these cool kind of like before and after war maps where you can see what happened due to the war. And we can see here in 2024 there was a big war. That ROD alliance kind of broke up. There's still some of those factions kicking around doing things, but we can see how big a change that war was. And really these territory wars, things like this, are like why we're playing right now. Like you as a new player are learning, growing, getting stronger, and getting wealthier and becoming more competent. And eventually that's going to be challenged by someone or something. And when that happens, you need to be able to fight. And these territory wars kind of inform the politics of what goes on, what happens, which factions are doing what. You've seen my Rackets video, you know what I'm talking about, like all that money coming in and who controls it. And I just hope if you're watching these videos, you're going to be on my side, because I'm spending a lot of time informing you guys, and I think the next territory war is going to be a lot different than these past few. And it's going to be because of you guys. Your activity, your competency, it's going to be much higher. Things are going to be way more interesting. So if you're watching this video, make sure you're an ally of black statues there. So that's a joke. You play with your friends, but not joking. Don't kill me. All right, for the last website we'll be talking about, it's Weaver, also known as Torn Web. And we can see here that this is like the ultimate traders website. You can see they have dollar sale listings here. So if you're in need of quick cash, you can keep an eye on this to get dollar sales and try to get some free items. You can see what people are selling. You can download there. Oh, I don't remember. Where is it? Where's the scripts? Does it help? No. Tools, I think. Tools and scripts, yes. Right here they have a bunch of scripts they use. You can get scripts for like the bazaar prices and the item market. This is something I use. You can get scripts for being a trader and being a more effective trader. This website also allows you to upload your bazaar listings so that other players can see it, and it will also put them into anyone running these scripts so they can see it. So this bazaar is an item market. If you list your bazaar on this website, it will update this script and anyone that has it so they can see it. So I'll actually demonstrate that really quick. Let's say I need to buy a bottle of beer. I can go to item market right here. Bottle of beer. And we see these listings right here. This is that bazaar and item market script, and it's pulling information from this website. Now, people with this script also update this information, but if you're using this website, you can get things done much more effectively. It's worth looking into this. They have a lot of guides. This group and the person behind it I have talked to, and they seem really passionate, and it's really changed the meta of Torn in a lot of ways. I think this website is really useful, especially for players looking to spend time on Torn outside their energy and nerve, doing a lot of trading and things like that. This website is going to be useful for you. But that's it. That's the 5 websites I wanted to talk about. There's tons more out there. There's another 5 I could list right now that would be worth talking about, but for right now, I think that's 5 that are the most useful to know about at different levels of play. Hopefully it makes you a little comfortable looking at the third-party sites and kind of diving into that side of Torn. And there's a whole fan side of Torn that is way more in-depth than you could imagine. So that's about it for this video. It's actually a little quicker than I thought. I thought we'd spend a bit more time on each website. This Let's Talk I was expecting to be about 30 minutes. But while I have your attention, let me ask you this. What third-party sites do you use? I know there's quite a few out there. I know there's maybe a couple of obvious ones that I didn't mention. I would like to know what you're using, why, and how you found it, if you can remember that. For new players, I do recommend checking out all 5 of these websites, especially Torn Stats, Torn.report. I think those are going to be most useful for you. If you or a group of friends is looking to make a faction, or if you're a faction that hasn't been able to like push up into the front of Torn, then maybe you need to be looking at Yata a little more. March's Cafe is just very niche. If you're in the auction house, if you're looking at ranked war items, you need to know this stuff. It's useful for players kind of in that middle to late game wanting to track the auction house from a reliable source. And then, of course, Torn Web. Any traders, anybody looking to get into a hustle, this website's going to be useful for you. So that's it from me. I really appreciate you watching this. I hope it was edifying for you. I really enjoy this community. I know I got a little chatty during March's Cafe talking about the map and all that, and I just want to say that, like, if you're playing Torn, just know that you're part of a community, and I'm glad to have you here. So you have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one.